Hello and welcome to the second part of Sports Talk right here on Tameside Radio. I'm Mark Phillip, Head of Sport at Quest Media Network, and as usual on the second part of Sports Talk, we've got loads of local sports news and interviews. So, nearly 50 schools in Tameside have been on the run this week as they've participated in the Runnymede Foundation's Tour of Tameside Olympic celebrations. Now, as part of the initiative, which has been supported by the Believe and Achieve Trust and Tameside Council, 2 students from each school have been given the honour of running with the Olympic torch from the London 2012 Olympics and handing it over to the next school. The event started on Monday and the torch made its way around all of the schools by 3 p.m. on Friday. The Tokyo Olympics had to be cancelled last year due to the pandemic, but will get underway next month. Now, the Tameside Schools event also links in with this week's National School Sports Week and has been given the theme of Together Again, with sports bringing people together once more in fitness and friendship following the lockdowns. I've been out and about to various schools this week to capture the highlights, and I've also been speaking to various representatives about the event. Firstly, I spoke to Jeff Oldfield, Games Organiser at the Tameside School Sports Partnership, about the reasons behind the initiative, the support received from partners, and the excitement surrounding the return of normal sport competitions by September.
Well, it's National School Sports Week this week, and we thought if we can do a tour of Tameside to celebrate the fact that the Olympics are coming to Tokyo. Good news today about spectators being allowed, and hopefully all go. And the schools have really bought into it. I think we're going to 47 schools throughout the week, and we're carrying the torch around with the kids. They're travelling from one school to the next, to the next, to the next, passing the batons on. And we've had some batons manufactured that the schools can keep as a commemorative. Oh, they've been fantastic. We've had their mascot with us, and that's brought the whole thing to life. That together with the Believe and Achieve mascot, the monkey, it's been fantastic, and the reaction from the kids has been brilliant. They've been with us all today. They've been to every school, and they're fantastic. They promote activity, friendship and citizenship, and they've done it. Without them we couldn't have possibly done this event. It's been really difficult. We've tried as best we can to support the teachers who've done a fantastic job, just keeping the kids on track. We've offered competitions where we can, most of them virtual, so that they can do them in their bubbles, in their schools. We've tried to offer them some external competitions that they can do together with virtual competitions. We're hoping that by September we'll be reasonably back to normal, and we'll be able to offer lots of competitions involving physical activity.
I also spoke to Staley Hill's Eve Warburton, a Manchester United under-10 player who had been chosen as the torchbearer for Staley Hill Primary School. Earlier this year, Eve completed a 100-kilometre run to raise funds for the Alzheimer's Society in memory of her granddad. This is what Eve had to say about her efforts.
I'm doing a lot of raising money for charities. I've just got into Manchester United Academy, and I just like to represent the school. I've been playing football since year 2, and I got interested in it, and I realised that I was really good at it. Went to Sala Futsal, and they recognised me to go to Manchester United. So I started in development, and then I got signed for them. 100k for my granddad. He's sadly passed away now, but I wanted to raise money for the charity that he had the illness to, and that was Alzheimer's. I raised about 1,200.
Excellent stuff, that's great to see. And have you got any more ideas planned to raise funds, or are you just taking a well-earned rest now?
I'm gonna do a run for them every year and then see how much money I raise from them.
I also visited Moorside Primary Academy in Droylsden and spoke to Carol Bambroff, the school's PE coordinator, about National School Sports Week, the importance of getting pupils back into exercise following COVID-19 and the excitement surrounding the return of competitions in September.
We've got over 400 children in our school and they all love sport here, but especially in Sports Week where they get to almost do something sporty every day. We've been doing sports days, we've been doing keeping active, we've been doing after school clubs every day, and we've all linked them to the sports values, which is passion, determination, self-belief, teamwork, honesty and respect. Well, as we've noticed, because children haven't been getting active, they're starting to not be able to take part and have as much stamina as they used to do. So we think it's really, really important to start introducing it into the day. So we've been doing more active play times to get them back into it. We've been having extra after school clubs for every year group that we can, and just mainly getting people active. We've got our bike racks, we've got making sure that we start walking to school and being more active, and just getting the children used to being active again. Oh, I think it's an amazing thing. Everybody was really amazed about seeing a baton. It's not something that they get to see every day. We've taken it all around the school, took pictures with the children. I think it's a really, really good thing that brings all the children back, and hopefully this will mean that the competitions can start again and we can start mixing with other schools and competing against each other. Oh, very important. Our children have missed it, and every time they're saying, when can we compete? When is this going to happen? When's the football going to happen? Because Moorside do take part in as much as we can, and that's what they aim for. A lot of children aim to take part and represent our school.
Well, the tour of Tameside has been fantastic. It's great to see pupils getting active, healthy and happy and just basically enjoying sport once again. And we'll have a 2-page spread on the event in next week's Tameside Reporter and Glossop Chronicle. Now, a Stalybridge Tennis Club was home to members old and new last weekend as the club was granted a prestigious award. After years of development and success, Priory Tennis Club was named runner-up in this year's LTA Cheshire Club of the Year, news which has been welcomed by the many dedicated members of the team. Amongst the hundreds of clubs in Cheshire, the recognition of being a commendable club is an honour for Priory, who have worked hard to transform the course in recent years. Quest Media Network's Katie Catherall attended the event and spoke to Chairman Nick Holmes about the honour.
So I'm the current chairman, been the chairman for the last 7 years. I joined here 30 years ago, it's my 30th anniversary, which is hard to believe. Joined here as a 10-year-old. I'm this year's current president, which is an honorary role that we offer it to everybody, because I awarded that because of all the work that I've put in over the years on the committee.
Could you tell me a bit about the award you were given today and what that means to you as a club?
Well, we're really privileged to have an award like this because it kind of recognises all the hard work that we've put in over the last few years. Since I became chair 7 years ago, the club was looking a bit tired. The courts were in need of resurfacing, the clubhouse was very tired, a lot of jobs needed to be done. And with the hard-working committee that we've had over the years, with some faces that have come and gone, we've been able to get a Sport England grant of £75,000, which was for the clubhouse. That, you know, if you had a look inside there, that's a massive improvement to what it was originally. And we had a £10,000 interest-free loan that we were awarded from the LTA, which contributed to these courts being done up. And that's all been paid back now. And we're just a thriving club because all the features that we're showing off here with the facilities, it just, you know, it sells itself, doesn't it? And we've had almost 60 new members join this year, and so everyone's really appreciating the facilities and they're showing the decking off now, this new sort of sitting area. You know, that's become, we call it the Deckers Bar now. So that's going to be a nice feature for people to come watching tournament tennis matches, you know, any barbecue and social functions. And we're just really proud to be like an all-inclusive club that welcome everybody.
Brilliant, yeah, and you've got a lot of new members, but you also have some lifelong members that have been here a long time,
That's
haven't
right,
you?
exactly,
so how long have they been here for, and what's the role they do?
I'm pretty sure Cynthia has been here at least 40 or 50 years or so. We've got Jack Millen that's been here about at least 60 years, along with Robin. I think he joined here in the early 1950s. And we're working on a project at the minute, which is part of our centenary, where we're sort of doing mini interviews with all of these people and getting their thoughts of what it was like in their day, and you know, the things that they enjoyed doing. We've already got 2 or 3 of those already with some old photographs, and we're hoping to get some more. It's going to be a big project. Obviously, it's a time-consuming thing. I've been scanning in some really old photographs from it that we've had in our storeroom, which date back to some of them from the early 80s and, you know, some 1990s pictures. So that's coming along nicely, and we're hoping to sort of do it when it's all done, a digital sort of thing as well as a physical copy. And you know, members can, read it as they want, and we're going to share extracts with, media as well throughout the year, because it's our special year.
And you also recently partnered with the Tameside Sport Network, is that right?
They sort of help us with any funding requirements or any support. We were just in the middle of doing some funding for children's school meals, kind of meals provided at the tennis camps. So that's in the process of going through at the moment, and that's kind of helping families out when it comes to the junior summer camp, so to speak. And it's kind of, we've just got a new disability group that we're just getting going. We've never really had the capacity with our coaching team, but we've now expanded our coaching team. So we've got 2 other qualified coaches on board now, which helps Andy because he works as well at another club. So in order to be fully inclusive, he's had very little time. So now we've got these other people on board. That's another feature we're able to sort of, really advertise that, anybody's welcome to come here. And as far as I'm aware, this group that come on a Tuesday afternoon are really enjoying it. It's obviously, nobody's been having a nice time recently, but it's an escapism for them, I think, to get that kind of sorted with some kind of membership thing with them. I'm proud to work with a fantastic committee because, without these people backing me up, I wouldn't have been able to achieve any of this lot. So I've witnessed a lot of committees in Cheshire League tennis, and they're not anything like ours. So everybody's always on board and forward thinking there's no issues, and I don't think it'd have been chair 7 years if that was the case. The longer it carries like that, I'm more than happy to keep. There's other things I still want to get done here, so I'd like to carry on.
Well, Katie also spoke to 17-year-old Naomi Kalu, a talented boxer who dreams of attending the Olympics and boxing for her country. Katie spoke to Naomi, who trains at Oldham Boxing Club, about a rise in the sport and the mental and physical benefits that come with it.
At my club, it's Oldham Boxing and Personal Development, so it's not just about the sport, it's about yourself as well. You build confidence within yourself. So I found through the whole time that I've been there, I've grown a lot within myself, and I've understood myself a lot more, especially with in terms of resilience and things like that. Boxing, it's helped understand my own limits and get a better understanding of myself as well, because it's quite an individual sport. But when you're going for a fight or you're going to sparring, you've got to understand your own mindset and how you think a lot. So you learn a lot about yourself, actually. Especially with training as well, how much you can push yourself and things like that.
That's fantastic, yeah. Have you got any achievements that you've had so far in the sport?
So I've had 2 bouts and then 1 skills. The 2 bouts were first round TKOs. That was quite an achievement for me, because obviously they were my first 2 fights. And, we work, not just myself, as a club, we work hard towards our bouts, every single one. Even when it's the skills, it's just an expedition is where you don't win or lose, but you get to show your skills and show how much you progress yourself. So even just getting to the point where I can fight is quite an achievement for myself, as well as helping coach the younger boxers as well in the first session and things like that. That's quite an achievement for me, just developing again with myself and the sport. I want to become a coach when I'm older, because I like the sport so much. I just like what it's done for me and what it's done for other people and what I've seen myself, because I do a bit of coaching already, but I just love the idea of it and sharing the sport. And you see as well with the younger kids, you see them, they'll start off quite shy or they'll have a few issues, but then you'll see they'll grow a lot within themselves and their personality will come out a lot more because they'll be more confident in it. So I like to share that. I want to go to the Olympics and box for my country and stuff like that. So yeah, I like helping people a lot within the sport. It's more than just boxing. It's not just boxing. There's a community as well. If you walk at different clubs, each club has their own little vibe, and it's like a family in each kind of place, and you understand everyone. You get to familiarise yourself with different coaches and things like that.
And do you have any role models or anyone who's inspired you within the sport, whether that's at your club or anyone who's bigger on the scene in Great Britain or anywhere yourself?
My coach, obviously, Eric Noy. I like watching Lomachenko and also and Clarissa Shields, but also the Cuban amateur boxers. We take a lot of their techniques and things like that, but the Cuban amateur boxers, they have such a passion for boxing. And Teofilo Stevenson, he said, what is $1 million compared to the love of 8 million Cubans? Because he was offering $8 million, to fight. And he said, what's that compared to the love of 8 million Cubans? Because he'd rather fight for his country. But it shows the love of the sport. I was saying about communities and things like that. It's not just about it's not just a job or just it's not just a sport. It's there's a whole community within it. That's what I like about boxing specifically. I've done a lot of music since I was very young. As much as I love boxing, I have a passion for music as well. I do little songs and projects and things like that for myself. It's not for anything else. That's how I express myself. Again, with boxing, that's how, what I was saying about expression with the younger kids and things like that. Because I was in that position. It helps you to express yourself through something else. Which you wouldn't think through a sport you can express yourself that much, but it's actually, you have so many different types of fighters and, with training as well, things like that. Whereas with my music as well, I'll apply it through what I produce or how I, come to think of certain lyrics or tunes and things like that. Or I'll work with my dad with it. And then with boxing as well, we train a lot to music. So we'll feel the rhythm of the music and things like that. So it all connects together.
And you mentioned about expressing yourself then. So do you think it's important for everyone to have some sort of way they can express themselves and let go of what might be affecting them in their normal life, whether that's a sport or a hobby or whatever?
Everyone needs kind of like an outlet to be themselves. A lot of people, they're not fully themselves around of it in certain areas, not at school or college, etc. And everyone needs somewhere where they know that they have a passion for, or they have somewhere to express their true identity, who they really are. Because that's really important to me, like my self-expression and things like that. That's what I've loved about sport and music and things like that. I just think it's very important. Also, some people, working up to a fight, that it's proving to themselves what they can do. And, obviously if you win, even if you lose, you can learn from what you've done. And even the fact that you've managed to get a fight, or the fact that you've managed to produce a piece of music, or you've managed to get somewhere, that's shown yourself enough how hard you can work and, express yourself, and you can understand yourself.
You mentioned about wanting to be a coach. So are you currently studying anything at college?
At college, I study PE, biology, psychology and sociology. Because I think the psychology and sociology is kind of, because I'm quite interested in, again, with like people and like the way they think and the way they act in society and things like that. And then with the biology and the PE, that's obviously applying to my sport, things like that. Outside of college and stuff, I coach people and things like that. Again, I used to teach people music and things like that. But I just like helping people find a new thing, a new passion. Even if they have a passion or something that they're concentrated on, I like helping them to express themselves through that. Whether it's film or music, and I like people going out of their comfort zone and then expanding their comfort zone by doing that. I kind of club quote is a son's envico, a men's envico. That means a body's to conquer, a mind to conquer. So it's not just the sport, it's about your own mind and developing yourself. But that's, our club sits by that very well, and it's just really important for us, because I go through a lot of things with mental health and things like that. But because of boxing and my music and things like that, you learn how to put your head somewhere else. Or if you can get through yourself in your head, then you can do pretty much anything. Everything's 70% mental if you think about it. If you're going to talk to someone, about 80% of it is thinking about what they're going to think. I'll talk to someone from college or someone new. I'm always talking to new people every day. You got to overconquer your own mind. That's what boxing's about for us. A body to conquer, a mind to conquer.
I think mental health has become so important over the lockdowns as well, because obviously I've struggled more than they may have done beforehand.
People struggled a lot more because obviously people are concentrating on themselves because they're always busy and they've got loads of stuff to do for this past year. All that's been taken away from everyone, and you get, people avoid things, all things that they may be struggling with, whereas during lockdown you've now had to be face to face with it, and a lot of people have struggled with that. So it's important to find something else that you can do. When I couldn't go boxing, so we had to do at home training and things like that, but I lost that place that I could go to, whereas I picked up other things like drumming and things like that. I always find other things for myself to do. So, before you were saying it's important for people to find ways to express themselves, I think, lots of people picked up different little skills in activities over lockdown, and that was their way of distracting their heads so they didn't consume them, because a lot of people get consumed by it, with the mental health and things like that. But it's just important to find something, and, some people just need a little push to do so, or they're quite scared to do so, go out of their comfort zone. But once they're gone, they never go back. They're glad they've done it. But, things like boxing and things where there's coaches and other people there, even stepping into the club, that's a big step, even just stepping in there. So I remember when I first went, and it's, I went on my own as well. There's just lots of people that I've not known, and it's a new sport. So it's quite a big step, even in your head, to go and throw yourself into something new like that. And once you're there, you're so glad you've done it. And it's, like I said, body's commands conquering, getting to grips with your own head and what you can do. Because if you can do that, you can step into any new situation.
Would you encourage people to join in with, say, boxing, even if they think they're not particularly good at things like that?
Well, it's not really about, being the best at it. It's really personal, boxing. It's quite an individual sport, but it's backed up by a team. You're that one person who's going into that ring, but you've got all up to then, you've got your whole club and your whole team that's helping you develop, and you're helping each other develop. And a lot of clubs are just mainly men and boys. But even then, because I went in and I was the only girl, so it's like I'd encourage you to just take that step, because you'll feel proud of yourself for going into something like that, and you develop so much. I just encourage it a lot. I just know a lot of people who don't go into sports like that because they're scared or they're anxious and they're worried about what's going to be around them. But once you take that step, you just expand so much. You kind of grow within yourself because you've put yourself in that position. Even getting to training itself on your own, just turning up, that can be such a challenge within yourself, because you could have had a really bad day and then now you're going to go into training and you're going to push yourself even more. Because some people just go home and then sleep, or go home and do something else. But then even after a long day, you're then pushing yourself to go and do, an hour and a half of training. That's building again. Same with resilience and things like that. You become stronger because you know that you can push yourself more. We do like minute rounds on the bag, and that about halfway through you're exhausted. Mentally, you've got to push yourself in about 30 seconds, and then that last 10 seconds, you've got to put yourself in a mindset, say, imagine this is your last 10 seconds in a fight. You've got to push yourself, because this struggle now, conquer later, you know what I mean? You put yourself through that struggle. The fight begins in training, not in the ring. The fight is built all the way up to that moment. A minute seems so long in boxing, sparring or training, and then you'll live a minute of your life outside training, you're like, oh, that went by fast, and how much impact that little minute can have. You could have just sat there and done nothing for a minute, or you can do, go in the bag for a minute. It makes a big impact on how you view life as well.
And as usual, to conclude Sports Talk, I was joined in the studio earlier today by Betfred's Peter Spencer to provide the latest odds ahead of the round of 16 ties in Euro 2020. And of course, the competition restarts tomorrow with Wales taking on Denmark at 5 p.m. And of course, it's the big one next Tuesday as England host Germany at Wembley Stadium. Peter, first of all, let's take a look at the round of 16 ties. So we've got Wales taking on Denmark, it's Italy versus Austria, Holland are taking on the Czech Republic, it's Belgium versus Portugal, Croatia versus Spain, France against Switzerland, and a big one on Tuesday for us, it's England taking on Germany, and then we've got Sweden versus Ukraine. So some tasty ties there. But firstly, what are the outright odds looking like?
Well, we've got France the favourites now, 4-1, Italy 6-1. England have come in at 13-2 with Betfred now, basically because we haven't been convincing, but we're like a slow burner. We've only scored 2 goals, we've not conceded any, and we're on the right side of the draw. So the easier teams on that side of the draw. So England are 13-2, Germany 7-1, Spain 15-2, Belgium 8-1, Holland 9-1. Portugal 11-1, Denmark 20-1, and Wales have come in slightly, and I've got to say only slightly, to 100-1.
Brilliant stuff. So recapping Tuesday's victory, it was England 1, Czech Republic 0. Sterling popping up with the all-important goal once again. He's proven his doubters wrong.
Yeah, well, it certainly is. I know my boss Fred and myself have been critical of him in the past, but he is proving to be something of a jack-in-the-box, getting on the end of things. He always feels to me as if he's trying to get it onto his other foot, his better right foot, but he is getting in the right places to score the goals. and that is England's problem at the moment. They haven't put on a showbiz performance yet. It's all a bit flat, and we need that. You kind of expected it against Scotland because that was, to many people, Scotland's World Cup final to play against England at Wembley. But, and I don't say that in a derogatory way, it was a fantastic occasion. They played tremendously well, but it was a special game for Scotland more so than England. Then we've had the 2-1 nils against Croatia and the Czech Republic. And I just feel that it's now time to step on. My dad tells me, and he lives in Denton, that this is what happened in 1966. It was all dull at the beginning, everyone's going, oh, we're boring, we've got no wingers, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly it all clicked into place and started winning spectacular matches.
Yeah, I mean, you can't please some people. If England were to win the competition, but it was boring football, people would moan. But then they'd also moan if we'd have gone out in the group stage, wouldn't they? I mean, you can't win with some people.
No, you certainly can't. Well, that's the beauty of football, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Some people think it's better to lose 5-4 than win 1-0. That's how people are.
I just want to see England win something in my lifetime. So taking a look at next Tuesday clash, it is England taking on Germany. Peter, what are the odds looking like for England to win on penalties?
Right, for England to win on penalties is 10-1. For it to go to penalties is 5-1. And for England to win, they're the slight favourites at the moment, although I've got to say it's changing quite dramatically, this, with people piling on with the patriotic punt, as we say in the industry. But England are 4-5 with Betfred to win, to beat Germany and go through. Germany 10-11 to qualify for the next stages. Harry Kane, he was at the beginning 5-1 to be the top goal scorer in the competition. He's now drifted, not surprisingly, to 40-1, having not scored any. He is now 7-2 to score the first goal for England against Germany at Wembley on Tuesday. Sterling is 6-1 to carry on his goal scoring streak, and Phil Foden, along with Marcus Rashford, is 8-1 to score the first goal. It was a remarkable night when when it was resolved who England would play, be it Germany or France or even Hungary or Portugal. And in that traumatic night, we had one winner who had £1 bet on both matches ending up 2-2. Anyway, she won £521 on the back of that.
Not a bad return, but I bet she wishes she'd have put a tenner on it now. Eh?
I bet she does. Yeah. But anyway, she did well on that. And then we've got the Wales match. If you want to focus on that, it's looking very much like Denmark win that according to the odds, because Denmark are out and out favourites to win that game. They're 2-5 to beat the Welsh. Wales are 7-4 to win, and of course not only are the Wales fans unable to go in the vast majority because of the COVID restrictions, in Amsterdam where the match is played, that was Eriksen's first club, Ajax. Yeah. So even the neutrals are going to be against Wales. Yeah. And of course Denmark can travel because they're in the EU, and so it will be a really tough task. But that's how the Welsh like it. They're into that. 100-1 to win the competition outright. If all the results go as we hope, not necessarily as the odds say, but if they go as we hope, England win, Wales win, England are destined to play Wales in the semi-final.
Well, Wales are always the underdogs, but I mean, was it 5 years ago under Chris Coleman? They proved the doubters wrong. They went to, was it the quarter-finals, semi-finals, is that right?
Yeah, quarter-finals, yeah. Well, they did remarkably well. Yeah. And it just shows that if you can up your game and get that camaraderie in the group, you can overcome a lack of absolute quality. And remember, there's only 11 players on the pitch. It's not 22. If it was 22, England would win this hands down, because they've got all the quality they could. But two teams out there who could compete. Wales couldn't do that. Scotland couldn't do that. Croatia couldn't do that. But it's only 11 players, so they've got to get that blend right.
Absolutely. Anything can happen in Euro 2020, but looking at next week's fixtures, I mean, we've got Belgium taking on Portugal, Romelu Lukaku taking on Cristiano Ronaldo, the two leading goal scorers in the competition. You know, it's hotting up, isn't it, in that respect?
Yeah, you do wonder what it'd be like if those two still played for Manchester United. I mean, what a performance, what a team that would be with those two still playing. But we can only wonder about that. You're right, those are the two top scorers. The latest odds we've got with Betfred are Lukaku is 6-1 to be the top goal scorer, but Ronaldo out there now, 2 goals ahead of the rest. He's 8-11 to be the top scorer in the competition.
I mean, this could be Ronaldo's last hurrah, couldn't it, in the Euros? Do you think, with his age? Do you think?
Well, people have been writing him off for many a year now, or 2 years. All I keep thinking about is how he's the same age as Rooney, and how Rooney is now manager at Derby County. What Rooney could have done with a different regime as Ronaldo has got. I mean, we've all got different bodies, of course, but you think about how Ronaldo has looked after himself so tremendously well. And anything, he could start playing in midfield, for instance, like Ryan Giggs did, and just continue, because he clearly loves the game, and he has that fantastic ability to be the main man in the vast majority of games. He still has that X factor. I heard reports about how Germany were trying to combat him when they played against Portugal, but they didn't succeed. They can put 2 or 3 players on him. He's still, you know, some people would say, well, if they put 2 or 3 up against him, it creates space for others. Well, they put 2 or 3 against him, he doesn't need the space for the others, because he goes and does it anyway.
I mean, someone put 2 pictures up on Twitter, this was of Ronaldo, one from 2004, one from 2021. He's literally the same physique, you know, he's not deteriorated. If anything, he's got better with age.
Yeah, certainly looks better than that sculpture of him at the airport.
Yeah, no, terrible, absolutely terrible. So we always cover big winners on Betfred Sports Talk. Peter, this week, can you tell us about one person who's won, is it 150 grand?
No, 50,000.
50 grand.
50 grand he's won from a £5 bet. He's a road digger. He lives in Ripley in Derbyshire, and he's been telling me how it was literally his last fiver, because he's a freelance road digger, works for the water company, and he decided to just put this fiver on because he had a photograph of his dad and remembered his dad used to always do the 49ers. And he's come up with £50,000 after all his 4 numbers all came out.
Excellent
so
stuff.
Tremendous news for him.
Yep, 50 grand off a fiver, that could be you, but you've got to be in it to win it. So if you do fancy a punt on any of the Euro 2020 round of 16 fixtures, Betfred stores are now open, but you can also bet online and via their app. Well, our thanks as usual go to Betfred's Peter Spencer for providing the latest odds in a number of markets. Well, I'm afraid that's it for this week's Sports Talk. However, you can find more local sports news on our website, questmedianetwork.co.uk.